Students, Mr. Moran back here. Forget the date. Lesson 47. We're going to write each expression in expanded form. Go ahead, take a moment. You're watching this because you missed class, or you want to rewatch me going over the work. So either way, pause. I'm about to go over it. Cool. It says write each expression in expanded form is where we left off last class. So 5 is our base, 3 is our exponent, so 5. Boom. Next one, we have 5x to the third. We're going to write that in expanded form, show all the multiplication. Well, our base this time is 5x, and we have 3 copies of it, so 5x times 5x times 5x. And if we want to show all the multiplication, we could fit in some little dots there to show it. Cool. Next one, now it says we have 5x squared to the third. So that's 5x squared times 5x squared times 5 times x squared. And if you did that, that'd be great, but we're actually not in expanded form, right? Because it's 5 times x times 5 times x times x times 5 times x times x. And there we go. We see all our multiplication there. The next one, maybe you feel better about it now we just did those. So what would that be? There we go. I didn't resort it by the type they are, but there we go. We have 5y xxx times 5y xxx times 5y times x times x. Just need 3 copies of this thing, which looks like that. Cool. So, while this is lesson 47, this is our second part, chapter 6, lesson 2. So add that to your notes. We're going to do a quick lesson 1 recap. Monomials, which we introduced. So repeat after me again. Monomials. Okay. Everybody again, repeat after me. Monomials. Awesome. They have sort of 3 forms, right? We have standard form, which is kind of like our simplest form. We have expanded form, where we do the prime factorization of the number and expand it all the way out. And we have exponent form, like so, where we show all the exponents of the expanded form. Today, what we're going to focus on is writing expressions in standard form, so as simple as possible, right? We're going to take any full monomial we have and put it in its simplified form, as standard and simplified as we can, okay? So, here's A. And I'm going to show you what I mean. We have x to the third times x to the fourth. I'm going to expand it out first. Like so. But is there a way to make it simple? And simplify means kind of like something that is equivalent but just has less symbols sometimes, right? So x to the third times x to the fourth. We did this in expanded form. But what if we simplify it, right? What if we get it small? What would we write? Well, how many x's are being multiplied together? Boom. Cool. So simplified form of this, or standard form, would be here. Now I bet you would much rather write this than all those x's. Guaranteed. All right, the next one. We have 3g to the fifth times 7g to the fourth. And we want to write it as simple as possible. I'm going to expand it out and see if that helps if there's a way we can make this a little simpler. Can we do any of the math here? Okay. So I would ask, all right, so we expanded out. Is there any way to make this simpler? And someone might say, do 3 times 7. And I would say it's not next to each other. So can we do 3 times 7? Someone's like, yeah, it's all multiplication, so we can. Yeah, we could put the 3 next to the 7. And then all the g's next to each other, right? And then we could do 3 times 7, which is 21. And instead of writing all those g's, what might we write now? We have all these g's multiplied together, so that would be to the 9th. And there we go. There's our standard form of that monomial, right? Okay. Our next one. Well, you know what? Maybe there's a way we can write standard form without expanding it out. You can always expand it, but picture in your minds, right? If you expanded this out, you'd have a whole ton of a's, right? So how many a's would you have multiplied together? We have 6, 5, and 4, so that'd be a total of 15 a's. Nailed it. Because you'd have 6, and then 5, and then 4, and altogether that's 15 a's multiplied together. Oh, look, we had 5 g's multiplied together, then 4 g's multiplied together, and that'd be a total of 9 g's multiplied together. Interesting. All right, let's take this monomial, which is in no form, and try to get in standard form. I'm going to do it in expanded form, but how about you? Did you need to? Can you figure out what this equals? Well, 5 times 2 is 10, and they would get next to each other. And then how many x's would we have multiplied together if we got them all next to each other? Well, there would be 8 multiplied together. So we have 10x to the 8th. Maybe you're starting to catch in. Maybe there's a little way to make this simpler, right? Without having to expand it out. Okay. So, this is the big idea for today. There is a rule that we can generalize that will help us write monomials in standard or simplified form. Here's a good example. So, if we have 3g to the 5th times 7g to the 4th, that's equal to 21g to the 9th. Is there a way or a rule we can think of, and there is one, that will allow us to simplify without expanding? Can you put it in words yourself? So then I would ask you to turn to your neighbor and have a conversation. Is there a way to take this and turn it into that? And people would be like, and then I raise your hand. What do you think? We would ask questions. And we say, yeah, well, there's a rule, right? And there is actually a rule in math. We're just going to put it in our own words. If you're multiplying powers with the same base number, so these both have g's, what do we do? A lot of people say add, right? But no, they give me more specific. If you're multiplying powers with the same base, well, I would say a rule is to multiply coefficients of variables, multiply the coefficients of the variables together, then add the exponents and keep the base the same. Right? And I think that's what we're saying. We're saying that you multiply any coefficients, 3 times 7, Then add the exponents and keep the base numbers the same. Boom. Let's see. So if we follow our rule we just thought of, we multiply coefficients. 3 times 10 is 30. We both have bases of g, so keep g the same and add the exponents, 3 plus 6. So we get 30g to the 9th. We got it. And that's the rule. We can do it. We can use it, right? And it literally doesn't matter. Well, it gets a little bit more challenging. Like, here you go. So add this one to our notes. So pause if you want to keep writing, but we'll go. Is this a monomial? Is there nothing but multiplication? Yes, this is a monomial. We want to write it in standard or simplified form. So without expanding it out, we're going to multiply any coefficients. Right? 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, and then if we're multiplying by any of the same bases, well, we do have an a, right? And we have 3 a's multiplied together here, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 a's multiplied together, so we add their exponents. B squared, and we're timesing another b squared. How many b's would we have multiplied together? That's right, 4. And c squared and c squared, keep the base the same, add the exponents. And there we go. We have our simplified form of this monomial. Hopefully it's starting to make more sense. Here, give it one more try here. See if you can do this one. Then I'll set you off to practice a little bit. All right. So the rule is to multiply any coefficients, which is 4 and negative 2. So that'll be negative 8. We're multiplying g to the third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 g's multiplied together, 8. And we have 1 copy of h. There we go. There's our standard simplified form of that monomial. You can bring questions you have in class, but here you go. Boom. I would like you to take all those same problems you did for classwork. You already have the expanded forms done. We went over it. Go ahead and write it in its simplest form. Okay? Pause me, because what I'm going to do is give you the simplified form. So pause, or you want to follow along. I'm going to just write the answers, the standard form. I'm going to yell at my son right now, who sounds like he's eating snacks. Declan! What are you eating? Okay. Yeah, what were you getting that was healthy? How many bars have you had? Okay. Hey, everyone, that's the end of this lesson. There's another classwork to follow up, but I'll do the classwork part 2, and I think it's to finish for homework, but let's kind of end that here now while I talk to my son.